Okay, everyone, let's go over stacking and grouping forms and making holes or cutouts from your form. So I'm in Tinkercad right now. I'm going to go to the Forms menu on the right-hand side here, and I'm just going to grab a cube and place it down on my blank picture plane here. And you'll notice that the Forms menu has many different forms you can choose from. I'm just going to choose a cylinder to stack on top of the cube. So I'm going to take that cylinder and then I'm just going to place it down here. Now you'll notice if you go to your movement tool, the little cube on the left top side here, and you move it around to a different angle, you'll see that the cylinder and the cube are the same height. They're both sitting on the picture plane right here. And if I try and stack the cylinder on top of the cube right now, it's not going to show up because it's the same height as the cube. So what I have to do here is go to this little black triangle on the top of the form, and I want to just take that and then bring it up. Now I don't want the cylinder to be so high that there's a gap here, so change your view so you can see the side, and then make sure the cylinder is sitting just right on top of the cube. You can zoom in so you can see that there's no gaps there between the cylinder and the cube, and that's how you'll know that you've stacked it. One last thing that I have to do though to make sure that I have really connected these two forms is I have to group them together. So I'm just going to drag my mouse over both of the forms, and now I've selected both. I have to go to the top button here. This is the group tool. It looks like a little square and a circle connected. So I'm going to click that, and you'll notice that the cylinder changed to red. Now that's how I know that it's the same form as the cube now, because they're the same color, and if I move them, they'll move together. So think of grouping like you're adding glue to something. They will never come unstuck unless I select them again and I click ungroup. Then they will become unstuck and I can move them separately again. So let's go back and group this. So that's how I stack and group forms. I have to make sure I'm using that triangle on top to shift things up or around, and I have to click group. Now let's add a hole or a cutout to this. I'm going to take another cylinder now, and I'm going to use the little movement squares on the side here to make this a little bit skinnier, because what I want to do is put a skinnier cylinder hole in this cylinder. So before I can group and stack this to make the hole, I want to shift this up so it's the same height as my red cylinder, and I'm going to move this inside. Now it looks like my orange cylinder is totally inside of the red cylinder. So what I'm going to do now is click on the orange cylinder and then click hole on this menu right here. So before it was solid, now I have to click hole if I want this to be a cutout. Now you might think that that's all you need to do to make your hole, but you do actually have to select everything together and group to make the hole actually see through. So now if I change my view, I can see that that hole went all the way through the cylinder and it cut out the middle part of the cylinder. Now instead of just a hole, I can actually make a cutout as well. So let's just say I took a cube and put it on the side of this cube, and I clicked hole, and then I grouped everything together. You can see here if I change my view that that cube made a cutout of the other cube. So when you use hole, it will make a hole all the way through, or based on where you place it, it will make just a cutout from your form as well. So that's basically how you select forms from your menu here, move them around, stack and group them, and then create holes and cutouts. So those are the basic tools that you will use a lot in Tinkercad. You're also going to use your move tools a lot to manipulate your forms. So these squares on the side will make them bigger or smaller. The ones on the top will make them taller. And then the triangle on the top will make it so that your form is hovering in space or lower in space. So you never want your forms to be below your picture plane. You want them to be sitting on top of your picture plane always. So one way that you will know if they're sitting on top is if I move my triangle up and down, the right-hand side here should say 0 if something is sitting directly on top of something else. If this was a negative number, like -1, that means it's 1 millimeter below the picture plane, which I don't want. If I was to move this and it was a positive number, like 1 or 2, that means I am 2 millimeters above my picture plane, which is something I also don't want. So I'm going to shift this back down to 0. Okay, so let's get started.